Welcome to Helping Hands. This is the program where we celebrate the people and organisations across Australia who make the world a better place. Coming up today,
photos of children wearing clothing that has come from here. When you think about the bigger picture, it's really significant and it's quite exciting.
we spend more time at the op shop.
One of the things that people feel the most is either being hyper-visible or being completely invisible, being looked over.
We discuss the issue of homelessness in Australia and we invite you to connect at helpinghands.tv. In previous weeks, we have seen the work of the Wentworthville Op Shop in Western Sydney run by volunteers and making a positive impact in its local community. Today, we will see how this local community work is making a positive impact not only in Australia but around the world.
The books, we have our literature, we have a really good range of books, our general books, and then underneath we have our jigsaw puzzles, all of which have been checked. So we have volunteers who do the jigsaws, check that all the pieces are there so we can write that they are complete. Out of this, let me think. Probably out of what's in here would be, for the term of his natural life, the Marcus Clarke, set in early Australia about a convict. I love that one. I also like Power Without Glory, which is Australian as well. More about politics, as they said, and corruption. That's really interesting. I'm not originally Australian. I came here when I was 12. And it's just, I love British stories too, British whodunits especially. It's just a way to talk about the country. You know, I found out it was a way to learn about Australia. I have a heart for migrant people because I came to this country when I was 12, so I started high school here. And even being English and speaking English, it was so different, very difficult to adapt. And I can understand how difficult it must be for people who don't even speak English. I mean, their way of life is totally different. You know, this is a place where they can come, they can feel free here and at ease.
What really encourages me about our op shop is the various different groups we support and we help. People come to Australia, refugees, people who have left everything behind. We can provide them with clothes, with bedding, with household goods. Mums come here, they maybe can't afford lots of toys for their kids, but hey, we've got some really good second-hand goods. We also support a school for disadvantaged children in Bangladesh. We support a village and education in an African country. We send goods to people in the Pacific Island. We donate when it comes to disaster appeals in New South Wales, and we've had several of those lately. We are able to make donations either of goods or of our takings. So we might dedicate a whole month's takings to the flood appeal, or we might dedicate a particular day's takings to some other worthy cause that has come up just recently. So they're the sorts of things that really encourage me. It's knowing all this extra stuff that we do. It's giving what we have and what we can when the need arises. It's not just about what we do on Friday and Saturday mornings.
We're just looking for our clothes, the shop is very good. So it's very cheap, we get everything very cheap, The thing which is outside is $50, $60, here we get only $2, It is just very, very cheap, And it's both good for the people. So everything is get new, It's not juice. New items we get it, This is pack. This is for the men's only. So it's very new. New means it is just from the, looks like it has come from the factory, So that's it, the things which are very new, we take it, If it is suiting to us, we take it. So otherwise, we just look around and go, Just we are local, just by the side of this, Very close, very close. It's just 5 minutes walk from here. I have been shopping for 8 years, but this shop is very useful. I find the people those working here, so they are very all good. We love to talk with them, They also, they're very, very good,
There is more to come after the break.
Photos of children wearing clothing that has come from here. When you think about the bigger picture, it's really significant and it's quite exciting.
My name is Titilia Ratu Maiwai. I've been a member of the church for nearly 20 years now. Yeah. And then when they were looking for volunteers in the op shop, I volunteered. Just helping in, selling and what else that. And, look after the customers and just be pleasant to them. I always send things to Fiji. I collect things, I buy from here, collect things, and they've been very good to us, to the people of Fiji, this shop. Twice a year, I send we sell about $400 worth to go on the boat. The boat is cheaper because they charge by cubic, not by weight. I do that twice a year. Anything that I know that they need there. One time there was hurricane and used to help with I wanted frying pans and when they donate and keeps it for me, I send all that to Fiji. People who ask for these things, I need all. People who have their daughters giving birth and they need baby clothes, I come to and I said, and can you give me this and does it for me. And I fill up suitcases of baby things. That's going to that house, particular house. So I write their name on that suitcase on the corner. Well, the people in Fiji appreciate all the little things that come from here, especially this shop.
Well, I love coming here, and I jokingly one day said something about I'm going down to my therapy, and that has just stuck. We have fun, we enjoy our time together. It's hard work at times. Yeah, we enjoy the camaraderie, and we've all got different skills, so we can use those skills and work together. I've known these ladies for a very long time, some of them for 40 years. Yeah, we get on well, and we're benefiting the community, but there's benefits for us as well. We have a lady who comes and helps when she can, and she came from Zimbabwe, and she has shown us photos of children wearing clothes that have come from this op shop. A few of us have actually given her things for people over there that from our own homes, but it's incredible to see photos of children wearing clothing that has come from here, and that sort of, when you think about the bigger picture, it's really significant and it's quite exciting, really, to think that we're just individuals, but we're part of a bigger group.
I think it's the fact that the volunteers are so friendly. Just the atmosphere in the shop is friendly, and I think that comes through. People are very relaxed in here, so there's no worries. I mean, if you don't buy anything, that's fine. Come and have a chat, have a look around.
If you are a helping hand or would like to see a helping hand from your local community featured on this program, visit our website and be in touch. We'd love to hear about the people and organisations across Australia who are making the world a better place.
I hope you have enjoyed looking at the work of this local community op shop. If there's an op shop close to you, consider stopping in and lending some of your time or browsing the items on sale and looking for a bargain. By supporting local initiatives, we can all play a part in building stronger communities across Australia. Welcome back to Helping Hands. This is where we celebrate the people across Australia who make the world a better place. Homelessness has many forms across Australia and ranges from people sleeping rough on the streets and on park benches through to sleeping in cars and couch surfing. This Homelessness Week, Laura Bennett is joined in the studio by our panel to look at how we can respond to this national issue and make a positive difference in our local communities.
Hello, thank you so much for joining us. With me today on the panel, we have Mark McCrindle, who is a social researcher. We've got John Owen, the CEO of Wayside Chapel, and also Lisa Ellis from Wesley Community Housing. Thank you all so much for joining us. When we talk homelessness, Mark, do Australians have an understanding of what exactly it means to be homeless?
No, they don't. They probably think that homeless people are those they see sleeping rough, and that's certainly the pointy end, the visible end of it, but there's a far greater degree of homelessness beyond that, and that's anyone who doesn't have tenure over their homes, anyone who's in insecure housing, and that includes people who might be couch surfing, as it's called, so they're staying with friends. It includes those in makeshift accommodation of various forms, those who might be in lodgings, where again they've got no lease or security over that. And the census data pointed out that there's around 120,000 Australians nationally that are living in homelessness in one of those categories at the moment.
Is that a number that's increased significantly, or has that stayed fairly consistent over the years?
It increased by more than 6,000 people just in the prior 5 years. So it certainly is going up. And that was before the current cost of living challenges and shortage in housing that we're currently seeing. So there's even a greater degree of it at the moment.
And Lisa, you're working directly with people affected by homelessness. What are some of the causes of homelessness that you see?
There's a variety. I think historically we've seen people that might have a drug or alcohol addiction, mental health, but now we're seeing a growing group of people who we might phrase as the poor working, who might be on minimum wages. They can't afford private rental. We're seeing nurses, police that can't afford to live close to where they work. So it's a real shift, and really anyone can be affected by homelessness.
Yeah, I was going to ask you whether anyone's immune to it, because when you name fields like that, people in those really respected positions, you go, okay, this could actually be something that affects any of us.
Yeah, so they say that we're all effectively 2 steps away from homelessness, whether that is losing the home that we live in, a relationship breakdown. We've seen a number of tenants who've come to us because they've been on workers' comp and then they've lost their workers' comp payments because of the period of time that's passed. So it's a variety of people and a variety of circumstances.
And John, how does that affect someone's well-being, particularly if you're someone who's had, a really successful career of a sort to then be homeless? Does that affect your sense of well-being?
Oh, there are certainly huge stages of emotional grief and processing that goes on in people's lives. All our hearts need somewhere to call home, and with couch surfing and boarding houses and insecure and unstable tenancies, people really don't have the ability to put down roots and to form connections in communities the way that many of us would take for granted. Right. So we're seeing it sadly increasing as well, the number, and particularly at Wayside, we've gone from about 200 people a day who come and seek us out for support to about 300 now. And that new cohort over the last 5 or 6 weeks, they're really quite frustrated because it's been quite confronting for them, as they've in many ways said, I've spent my whole life working. Why am I here lining up alongside all of everyone else who comes here? So it's been a really difficult time for everyone who's been in the sector, but also more importantly for the people who have found themselves rents have increased and they've ended up being moved on.
And given it is a new space a lot of people can be in, what kind of support, Lisa, is there available for someone who finds themselves in a position of homelessness?
The system is quite complex, and knowing where to find support. There is a online free resource called Ask Easy that does a whole heap of different kind of supports, whether that's homelessness or other supports that someone might need, and that's always a really good place to start. Or talking to, if you're at a hospital, talking to someone at the hospital. If you see a church, talking to someone at a church, community centres and the like, because, we know what's going on and it's easier to connect in with someone who's already in that space.
And one of the greatest factors in someone ending up in insecure tenancy or on the streets is a breakdown in family and community. So anyone who's going through a tough time, I would urge them to not do the normal Aussie thing, which is not talk about it with anyone and she'll be right, mate, but actually to ask someone in their family and ask someone in their community, because in many ways, someone might say, we've got a granny flat out the back, you can stay there for a little while you get yourself back on your feet, and you won't have to go down into the system that we're both very familiar with, which is obtuse at the best of times, which is why we have to employ people to continually have to help people overcome some of those obstacles that are in our housing, let alone the fact that there's probably about a 10-year wait to get onto or into housing.
Outside of these formal structures, there's got to be something that we each can do in little ways to support others. Mark, what would your perspective be on that? Like, are there simple things that we each can do to help those who might be doing it tough?
Yeah, well, I think so. Just being aware of the problem, and it is a hidden problem, and hopefully ensuring that we can, as a society, move towards some solutions, because it is growing. I mean, and it's not just from a shortfall of housing, it's also from insecure housing flows from insecure work, and that's another key driver of it. And this is some of the examples that have been given, that you've got people that have been working, but because we've got growth in gig economy type work, in contracting work, in less secure employee type engagements, you can suddenly be earning and then you're not earning. We've got a lot of people that might have been running a business. There are 2.1 million actively trading businesses in Australia. Most of them are small or micro businesses. 1 in 5 of these businesses closes every year, and suddenly someone who had a business is now not only in debt but therefore without housing. So all of these flow on. It can affect anyone, and I think if we have the empathy, the compassion, the awareness, we can all start to look to little ways we can make a difference in this problem.
I would jump in there and say, during the lockdown years, when we met people, we often asked the question, how are you coping? Yeah. But too quickly we've run back to how are you? And that how are you question often elicits a false response, whereas I think we should stick with how you're coping through these times. We're all working longer and harder, we're feeling more anxious, and we've got a lot of resources that we don't realise are as close as the person next to us often.
Lisa, how would you say each of us can support someone who's experiencing homelessness?
I think being mindful that they are a human being, and I think back to what we were talking about before about anyone can be at risk of homelessness. So thinking about it from, well, what would I feel like if I was in their shoes? And I think it is some of those small things that, we see someone on the streets and we sort of look down to them or look away, where, something as simple as just a smile or how are you today can make their day immensely.
One of the things that really helps keep me going in the day-to-day is I have to remind myself regularly that everybody is someone's child. And if this was my child, how would I respond? And so some of the best interactions I see is when people go, hey Bill, hey John, how you going? And then, you begin to really build a friendship, because one of the things that people feel the most is when they're sleeping rough is either being hyper visible, get out of the way, or being completely invisible, being looked over. And then as that relationship evolves, let's never presume we know what people want or need, but as slowly as the relationship builds, you'll be able to discern the way forward together.
Yeah, show up shoulder to shoulder. Guys, thank you for your contributions today, and thank you for watching.
If there's a topic that you'd like to see discussed on Helping Hands, visit our website and be in touch. We love talking about the things that make the world a better place.
This is a national issue which impacts every state, suburb and community across Australia. Visit our website and look on Facebook and Instagram to see the extended discussion. Share it with a friend and join the Helping Hands family. I hope that the next time you see someone who is homeless or hear of someone who is sleeping rough, that you are in a better position to be a positive voice and make a difference in that person's life. I find that when we are willing to extend a helping hand to others, the goodwill speaks volumes to those around us, and the positive ripple effect can change a person's life.
Let us know about the Helping Hands in your local community at helpinghands.tv. Send a photo or a short video and tell us about your local heroes in 25 words or less.
Thanks for being part of the Helping Hands family. Visit our website to subscribe to this program, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and tell a friend about Helping Hands. Thanks for all who have made today possible, and see you again next week.